couple times. You know, it's such a different sound when you go acoustic. It's like you might as well bring your roller back out here. It's a different sound. Thank you, fellas. Thank you as always. Alex, wait, Al. How are we? How was that time with Jared and Jensen? That was neat. Huh?
It sounded pretty magical.
What did you say?
I said it sounded pretty magical.
That's not what it sounded like.
That was the only name.
Oh, wow. Okay, in fairness, it sounded like you said slappity vaginal.
Nope.
I did say that.
Right, you're right, it was. Ladies and gentlemen, Jensen Ackles, Sunday night 3 and a half. Wow, I've never seen that. I've never seen Jensen. That's good. It looks painful to do, but worth it.
I heard them from the hallway. I was like, what did Spade and Benedict say? Love you guys. I'll see y'all soon. Sorry.
Don't do that again, the crowd hates it. Anyhow, yes, it was magical. Magical it was.
It was. Yeah, that's what I said.
So I've heard.
Hi, everybody. Well, you probably haven't seen much of us this week.
No,
Rob.
we're the new guys.
Rich. We are here to talk about our show that we just. Well, we'll talk about whatever you want to talk about.
Yeah.
But we've just done the show called Kings of KoC.
He's gone.
That is going to premiere later this fall and on a new network, digital network called Comic-Con HQ.
Comic-Con HQ, Robbie. A lot of people say to me, they say, Rich, how do I learn more about Comic-Con HQ? I say, go to ComicConHQ.com. I mean, it's not rocket science. You know what I'm saying, Robbie?
That's right, Rich.
It's also on the Roku. It's on the Amazon. It will shortly be on the Apple TV.
That's right. And it's a show, 10 episodes, a single camera comedy, loosely based on our behind-the-scenes shenanigans at conventions.
Robbie and I started doing conventions for Supernatural in 1983. And since then we realized that you people are balanced, intelligent, with bright, shiny futures, but there's a lot of misfits back there. There's a lot of tomfoolery and infantile shenanigans.
Yeah.
And
We always say there are a lot of crazy people at the conventions, and then the people on stage.
Yeah, exactly. So, we decided we should write and tell those stories, so we have. And that is the show we'll be bringing to you this fall, entitled Kings of KoC. We're excited about it. And if you were in Phoenix, you know, Gary and Adam and Stephanie of Creation Entertainment fame have worked with us on this and let us use Phoenix as the background for our opening credit sequence. So, if you're in Phoenix, you never know.
You might be in the show.
You might be in the show.
And a lot of the other Supernatural actors make appearances in the show.
Some non-supernatural
As
actors.
well as some non-Supernatural actors that old friends of ours.
Make appearances in the show.
People you might recognize. So yeah, we're super excited about the whole thing. Cannot wait to show it.
Cannot wait. Not waiting. We're waiting, but we can't. We're not. We'd rather not, but we have to.
I'm gonna take a question.
Oh, good.
Hi.
Hi.
So, if you guys had to go on a hunt like yourselves, not your characters, what would you want to hunt and how would that go?
I'm a good bargain hunter. So I would hit the sales, the sale racks.
Checking tags.
Yeah, and so I guess Black Friday is a good one. I'd go then. I think usually at the end of the summer, or sorry, end of the year is when you can get good deals on cars. I would target that area. And honestly, I find that a lot of clothing lines get rid of their summer line as fall approaches. So I would do it all of online bargain shopping in men's department clothing lines. As fall approached, I can get sort of summer wear, which is perfect for me because I live in Los Angeles where the weather never changes,
Good
right?
job. Good job, buddy. Really good work.
Thank you.
I would hunt Richard. I would give him about a 10-minute head start. He's dodgy. He's quick and dodgy.
I would be right here. You'd go, I get 10 minutes, like, all right. And then 2 minutes later, you'd go, boom. And that'd be it. And then I'd be on your wall.
No, come on, you'd be my one like this.
Hey, it's whatever you tell your taxidermist to do, you know what I'm saying? You can make me look more ferocious if the story's better. You know? I think half the time you see big game hunters with like the lion and the elephant mounted, truly they were just eating and the guy walked up with blam, but they would have posed him like, and they see my
But it could be a fun game. Hunting you.
The downside is I get shot in the face.
No, the downside is you outwit me and end up shooting me in the face. Or I accidentally shoot myself in the foot.
That's really what
That's probably what would happen. There he is! God!
There he is, over by that discounted rack of shirts.
Hunting him in his natural habitat.
Thank you for the question.
But the thing is, my gun would have just a flag that says POW.
Yeah, we'd be like, ah!
Hi guys.
Hi.
This question's actually from Scout who forgot last week. Rob, what is your dragon's name on your costume for karaoke?
That's a great question I haven't thought of, to tell you the truth. What would KoC's dragon be called?
Kyle.
Kyle. His name is Kyle. He's the youngest dragon. There are 3, but he likes to ride on my shoulder. But yeah, Scout's so crazy made a t-shirt of that Snapchat that Jason and I did. It's really awesome. If you haven't seen it, it's a silly thing. The Snapchat that Jason and I did, where like it changes your voice and turns you into like a deer or something. And I introduced my dragon. Anyway, there's a shirt now that says, "This is my dragon." It's just funny. But anyway, Kyle. Turns out it's Kyle.
Hi.
Hi.
So my question is for Rob. When God said that he had a few boyfriends, was that your nod to your character on Masters of Sex?
No, unfortunately, there was not a crossover episode. No, it was written that way. Ironically, I was playing a gay character at the time, but yeah, no, that was a Robbie Thompson thing, and I just thought it was so genius that he put that in. You know, I had some boyfriends, I had some girlfriends. I was just really pleased that was in there, just to, I don't know, just to open up that world and make that There was never discussion about it. There was never a special direction on it. There was never like, hey, with this we need it. It was just, it is what it is, right? And like, thankfully there are places in the world where that's just the way that it is, and that's okay, you know? It's just, I just thought that was awesome, so.
I think out of the supernatural world, and I think you'll probably agree, they're great about touching on some issues like that. I think Robbie Thompson was especially good in being the voice for a lot of
He's just in touch.
topics.
He's just in touch. He's in touch with what people are thinking and doing. He's in touch with the show. He's a fan of the show. And I just felt like he tapped into everything that the show was and should be. So
Yeah, that's a great legacy.
Yeah, he wrote Baby. He wrote that episode. He wrote the 200th episode. He wrote the episode where Rich came back. A lot of great ones.
He was responsible for bringing Tim Amundsen on as Kyle. Big impact. Charlie, I believe it was a Robbie Thompson. Right. Yo.
If you were making a music compilation album, a mixtape for those of us over a certain age, inspired by SPN, preferably music that hasn't already been used on the show.
Has not been used on the
Has
show.
not been used on the show, that's too easy. What theme songs would you use for your characters? And that's Chuck Chuck and God Chuck and Trickster and Hammer.
Okay.
I was thinking with Chuck, God Chuck, a great one is What If God Were One of Us? Yeah, that's it right there. That title that kind of sums it up for Chuck, God Chuck. For Chuck Chuck, it would probably be Tennessee Whiskey. Or Loser. No, that's a great song.
I think I've said this before in other situations, and the song this applies so many ways. I think that probably Gabriel would get Foreigner's Dirty White Boy in the 70s, rock anthem. And Trickster,
Sex and Candy.
It's Tricky by Run DMC. Could be that. Somebody else yell something else, what did they say? Dirty Deeds. Dirty Deeds, yes, very, very good one. That's probably more on point. The woman's in her homework. What?
Sex and Candy.
Back goes to Speedway? Yeah, ditto. That would also be great.
It sounded like it had the word sexy.
Had the word sexy in it?
I thought so.
I don't know.
Sex and Candy. Sex and Candy.
Sex and Candy, a little Marcy Playground. Oh, that's a good tune. Ooh, hanging around.
Well, based on our songs, I want to hang out with you more than I want to hang out with Chuck.
Had too much caffeine and I was thinking about myself and there she was. Yeah, Sex and Candy. Hello, hello. Good one. Thank you for the question.
Hello.
Hi.
This question is from my friend Channing. She wanted to ask you if you had to replace your hands with any object in the room, what would you choose?
Any object in the room?
I got mine.
Robbie?
These, shakers would be good. Shakers is the right answer. But I was gonna say these two things. They're lights that spin and turn. And you can be like,
Would you laugh maniacally?
and laugh maniacally. Make it stop. Make it stop. Shakers would be great.
I would replace one with a microphone and one with a chair, so I could always sit and talk to you. You still do my job. How's it going, everybody? Those are the right answers, right, Robbie?
That was the right answer.
You pretty classy? You.
Hello, good afternoon.
Congratulations on winning whatever you won. It was a great pageant. I watched it.
Winning at being old is my first thing.
Hey, listen, let me tell you something. Reaching whatever age you reached is better than not reaching it, so it's a good thing.
First I wanted to thank you guys for making the conventions as often as you do, because, you know, hit the ground running on Friday and just up with the energy 100%. Y'all give the other actors a lot of credit.
Thank you very much.
And Chuck is the most adorable God I've ever seen in the world. Like this gift, that was awesome.
Thank you.
But I had a quick question for Richard, and it's about your character between the trickster and Gabriel. Like, he was doing a great job of playing the funny guy to like flip of a switch into badassery. But then Mark made a comment the other day about some of the emotional nuances between Lucifer and Gabriel that ended up on the cutting room floor, and we didn't get to see a lot of emotional Gabriel or emotional trickster. And I was wondering what your take was on those scenes that Mark said were great scenes, but they didn't have time to show them on the show.
Yeah, I think it was more, specifically more like moments within the scene that we did together. And I think, to be honest, I think a lot of the elements of that you still get in that scene where, you know, he and I are having our showdown, when the topic is very serious, and it's, you know, Gabriel trying to stand up for himself, and you know, the thing that Mark always did really well with Lucifer, especially in that phase, it was episode 5, you know, the season 5 episodes, and that last episode where he killed me, was that Mark, it would have been really easy to play Lucifer as a cartoon character, as bad. I'm bad, whatever. But you always got the sense when you watched Pellegrino play Lucifer, that in a weird, twisted way, he was doing what he thought was right. Like, he's played it smart. He played it like Lucifer was not just pure evil, but he played it like Lucifer, obviously, had a chip on his shoulder and had issues, but Mark tried to play through that and play him like a real, you know, three-dimensional character who had thought about what he was doing and decided this was the right way to go. And I always thought it was really interesting, and it came out very, very clearly in the scene where he killed me. Because he played that scene. You could tell it tore him up to kill Gabriel, but he thought he was doing the right thing in his twisted mind. And I thought that was some of the emotional content that still did make the scene. You know, there were moments in there that didn't quite make the cut because of time, and it always is the case. There's always things that work, but you know, storytelling in the grand scheme of making a TV show or a movie is not about that one scene or that one take that was great for that actor or those actors. It's about the overreaching picture and story, and that involves creative time and other issues. So some of those moments didn't get cut away, but I feel like the majority of that moment was told very succinctly and effectively in the way he handled taking Gabriel's life. I thought he did a really great job. He could have made that very cartoonish and very one note in the setting, but he made it very deep, and I thought that was cool. Not a fan of him killing me, but hey, that's what the script said to do, so he did it. But he did it with heart, and that was awesome. Thank you. Hi.
So I told y'all at the Friday photo op that I was more excited for KoC than I was for the Deceased and Supernatural. And it's true. And so I watched the first 10 minutes, and I just have to know, Rob, how naked were you in and just filming that scene, how did it, was it really awkward, or was it like really...
It's one of those things where you go, I was naked. I was naked with shoes on.
And a smirk.
Oh, a smirk? I thought it's not something to cover your...
It's a smirking.
Because I didn't have one of those.
No, you did not, sir. Didn't need one.
So yes, I was all over naked. And it's one of those things you're like, you're like, this is going to be really awkward. It was awkward. And then you go, I wrote this. I put myself in this situation. I said, let's shoot it. But we shot that in my front yard. So, pluses and minuses.
That was the weirdest part. The part wasn't like, obviously we had a very small crew. All of them were very professionals, not a big deal. The funny part was like, the guy walking the dog like, hey Robbie!
Jim, how are you? Good to see you. Filming a little thing.
Sure. Yeah.
It's for the internet.
Tell the kids I say hey.
Yeah, that was the awkward part. So we tried to put up sort of stuff to block the road, but it didn't do much good. So it's one of those things where like, Rich, let's get this in maybe 2 takes tops. I did it what, 2 or 3 times?
I think we did it twice.
Yeah. So yeah, all the way naked. Forever.
You're welcome, America.
Hello. So the fandom kind of speculated that they wanted Chuck to be God for a while before we knew it would happen. So when did you hear about that? And what was your reaction when you found out? Was you were like, well, this is happening, this is weird? Like, what was your reaction?
Well, at the end of season 5, after Swan Song, Eric Kripke called me, and he was like, you know, you're God, how does it feel? And I was like, is that what that means? Because I wasn't quite, you know. And so he explained to me that that was his intention, but that he was not going to bring me back. Just he was leaving the show. It was kind of Swan Song was his goodbye love letter to the show, and he kind of took me with him. So that idea had floated in my head, but to me it was always like, it was almost a theory, you know, in comparing me being the characterization of Eric Kripke. And, but so that, you know, that floated around the fandom, and that was something, and Eric said, let people have their own interpretation of what it is. I don't want you to say necessarily, this is the way it is, you know. So I would always say, this is my opinion. And then Robbie brought me back for the 200th episode, and that was when it started to become more like, okay, realistically, like weaving me back into the show. And that was cool, that was way cool. And then with Amara, there was a storyline that opened up where you really needed God to show up. And again, Robbie really brilliantly figured a way to write this episode where it brought me back in, it explained where I'd been, it answered some questions that people would need to know. At the beginning of season 11, there was talk about maybe I was going to come back, but nothing was definite. And then Robbie called me like in January of this year and said, it's official, you're coming back and you're God, and it's going to be 4 episodes. And I was like, It's awesome. I was like, great. You know, it felt like a gift. It really did. It was one of those things where it's a great role and it was a great arc, and I was just really very excited, you know, about it, and it was great to have that opportunity, and to be in Vancouver with these guys who are now my great friends, and the crew. I know all of these guys, so it was super fun. But yeah, so beginning of this year is when I knew it was like officially official, and then I couldn't wait to tell everybody, but I couldn't. So, like, I was shooting it, and people were like, "So, do you really need your God?" And at the time, I'm going, "I know I'm God." But I couldn't say anything. I was like, "Oh, they make me probably, but I don't, you know." So yeah, I'm glad it's all out. I'm out.
You're out of this.
I'm out.
God. Isn't that trippy? That was still this year.
This year,
It feels
yeah.
like it was 3 years ago.
I know. Especially now we're in season 12, but yeah.
Very cool. You.
Hey boys.
Hi.
I was wondering if you could share any funny stories that were cut from Kings of Con.
We're still cutting Kings of Con. We're not sure what. We're not sure what's been left on the cutting room floor. So I think we're going to reserve that until the show comes out. You see the show, and then we'll know what we can use, and then we can share stories about things that didn't make it. That said,
Good story, like, what should I say?
I don't know. You gave me the old, I'm going to say something, Rich look.
Yeah, well, I was going to say,
Say it.
there's a good story that happened to us in our real life that has made its way into the show. That's what I was going to sort of, it has been cut, it's still in there. But the story where Rich and I were in New Jersey a couple years ago, and I was going to come to his room, but for some reason I didn't have my phone, so I just called his room direct.
Your battery. That's the bit you're
Battery's on. So I called his room direct, and he was in room 911. I was in like 927. So I called 911. And the operator's like, "What's the emergency?" I'm like, "Haha, funny, Rich. So are we getting a beer, or what's the deal?" And then they got very angry. And all of a sudden they're yelling at me, and I realized it's not Rich doing a bit. I'm not like, a couple times it's like, "Okay, haha, not funny anymore, Rich. Information." And then I realized, like, oh shit. And excuse my language, and then I hung up. And it's like a panic. I had not been in New Jersey half an hour, and all of a sudden I alerted the authorities, so I ran down to Rich's room.
Yep. Rock Walker Radiant told me the story, and I said, "Oh, let's reenact it and film it."
That was the best thing ever.
So I got the camera out, and we were reenacting it, and while we were reenacting it, there was a knock on the door, and it ended up being the police, who were responding to a 911 call.
This all truly happened. So that, yeah.
Well, I'll say, so that's part, we worked that into one of the episodes, and funny enough, we have great partners in Lionsgate and Comic-Con HQ. Those are great people who are helping us make the show. But they give notes on the scripts before we shoot them. And one of the notes came back like, "Yeah, I'm not sure, I don't think the cops would really show up to your room after you call 911 in a hotel." We go, "Oh, sure, and please will. Let me tell you something.
They did.
There may be crap we're making up, but not this one. It may not sound realistic, but it's real."
Yeah. No, that made its way.
And then when we do lose things, we'll come back and tell you. Right now, we'll leave it to the editors to be sure we get the show put together. All right? Thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
So first and foremost, I'm gonna miss you guys so much here in Dallas.
And we're gonna miss you. Robbie, the old cowboy hat goes on the hat rack.
It's not right.
The blue shirt I always wear here goes on the blue shirt rack.
My plaid goes on a hanger until Toronto when I put it back on.
Billy Moran's black cowboy hat.
Good times.
Back when the band used to all dressed in Western wear, Mike Warhol wore a long blonde wig and a cowboy hat.
We'll be back.
Okay, good. So my question is kind of, so we saw how Gabriel was kind of very much hurt by his abandonment of his father.
Yep.
He was upset. How's the search for dad going? Let me guess, awful. I just want the fighting with my brothers and sisters to stop. So he was very hurt by this and he had to just go away. So how would the scene go if Gabriel did find out God was around? How would that apology for scene go?
Well, no, let's wait and find out. Unfortunately, God hasn't had time to bring me back.
It's just,
Now I know your schedule's airtight. You only had 6 seasons to drum me up.
what happened was, we were in an emergency situation.
You're alive in our hearts.
You're alive in my heart.
Thank you. Oh, please.
I know where you are.
Thank you. I understand.
This is not the photo op.
Ladies and gentlemen, the brown acid is back. We just got a walk by confusing. Like,
That was Jensen Ackles.
this isn't the bathroom. I knew something was weird. We had decided, we were talking about panels yesterday with Brianna and other people, and you'll do something in a panel, and you answer a question, and you hear screams, and you think to yourself, I'm in the pocket.
Yeah.
I love what I'm doing. Turn around and there's Misha. Same thing, I'm like, they love the report I have with this woman. This is making hay over here. Oh no, it's happening.
When Jared came on and when Jensen came on, my initial instinct is to get behind them in defense of whatever's, like, not that you're even threatening me, but I just want to be behind them.
Yeah. There was a thing that happened when we shot the credits in Phoenix, that we were setting up cameras. We had Will, the cameraman, with us, and we were setting up cameras in the aisle because Rob does this big runaround circle in the mornings, and we're putting cameras in various places to film it. And doing so while actually was trying to start the show, so there's a lot going on. And it was a higher stage, and so then, and we did it on Sunday because we wanted the full house. And then I'm coming back on stage when the lights are about like this. Before we come out to start the show, and I leave up on the stage, and I tear my pants from here to here. And I leave up and I go backstage. And now it's time to bring Jared Disney. Now it's time for the band to take the stage to start. So we got 2 cameras running, and I'm making sure that, Kat's helping with one of the cameras, and Brittany's over the other one, and Will's out there running. So I'm kind of like dictating what we're doing over there and texting people. Meanwhile, I'm like, and I made the mistake because Ackles came out and he's like, "What are you doing?" Which is what Ackles always does. If you do something odd, he's like, "Hey, why are you doing that?
We doing a bit?
What are we? Oh. So he seemed to be kind of like standing oddly against the back wall. Like, why? What's up? Like, I tore my pants from here to here. And then I realized, why did I tell them that I tore my pants from here to here? That's the dumbest thing I ever could have done. So then, here goes Rob the man, hey, get ready to hear this. And they come out, and I come up. There's probably footage of this because I was announcing them in Phoenix. And I come up like, everybody, to kind of slide over to Billy and we're kind of hanging out and slid over to them. Thinking, knowing that at some point, one of them was going to go, ha! There would have been one slight talk and I'd have been wearing assless chaps, And I was like,
Is that what was underneath your pants?
What?
That was what was underneath your pants. If they ripped your pants off.
My assless chaps. They would reveal my tasseled assless chaps. Which I was saving for the birthday party I was dancing at later. I didn't want to tip my hat. So I was like, they're going to de-pants me. Well, God and everybody. And I live in perpetuity on the web, pantless. I hadn't plowed the field, Robbie. I wasn't ready to be revealed that way. I hadn't done my homework. So I was a nervous wreck. They did nothing, which was such a relief, and I can only attribute it to they forgot. I'm not attributing it to kindness or mercy.
I'm honestly expecting that right now Gerald is just going to try to take your pants off.
If they knew, like if I reminded them, which at some point I'm sure we will over a dinner, they'll go, wait.